Hi, everybody. It is Pam Varner, and we are going live with some fun things from the Elevate box. So I hope you can all hear me. And
If something happened to you tomorrow,
hold
who would go
on.
through your possessions? Look for all of your accounts.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to make sure that we're live. So it still says upcoming. I'm a little concerned. There we go. Now you can see me. Okay, I hope you can hear me. Okay, I'm excited, you guys. So today we're going to play with some stuff from the Elevate box. This is quarter 3, and we are going to play with this template. This is the spinning wheel number 27. It's a 6-inch size, sorry. So it's a little bit smaller than some of the larger spinning wheels. The thing that I want you to pay attention to are these little tick marks up here above the A and above the B, not the ones that are next to the A and the B. We want to use the ones that are up here at the tip. And then these lines right here, they are going to help us line up our template as we do our design. So let's get this stitched out. And I want to show you something that I've been playing with, and I hope it helps you. I have found that when I do designs where I start up here at the top of the design and keep going, sometimes when I come back, my template is off just a little bit because of the draw up, excuse me, of the design. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start in the middle. So when we finish our design, it's going to be a nice clean finish out here on the outside of the design. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to mark one of my lines, and it doesn't matter which one you mark, so that I know where I want to come back. Okay. So we're going to start with that little tick mark I showed you on this reference line. You will see that these reference lines down here in the middle are going to be on this reference line. Okay. So here we go. Normally, what you would do is you would stitch from A to B, right? You'd be here, you would stitch to B, and then you would rotate the template and you would continue. What we're going to do is we're going to stitch from the center to B, just on the first one. So I have my template in place, and I'm going to pull my thread in the middle. I think it's easier to get your stitches if you need to take a couple extra stitch at the end of your design in the middle than it is out here on the tip. So I'm going to take a couple of stitches to secure it. Now, that means at the end I can trim these off if I want to, or I can bury them. But I also now don't need to hold on to these threads while I'm stitching. So I have my feed dogs down. I also have my stitch length set to 0 because that's what I like to do. And sort of make sure that there's nothing going on that you guys can't hear me. Okay, good. All right, so feed dogs down, stitch length to 0. I do that because it's like a security blanket for me. If I forget to lower my feed dogs, hopefully I've moved my stitch length to 0. Today I'm using a polyester 40 weight embroidery thread in my needle. I have a size 80 top stitch needle, and I have a 60 weight bobbin thread. So that seems to work the best for me. And off we go. We're going to stitch to B. And now we're going to rotate the template. And if you notice, we're now on this, we're going to end over here on this reference line. So we're not going like to the next reference line, right? We're skipping some. And that's how this design works. So line up your template. And again, stitch from A. Last time we started in the center. This time we started at A, and now we're going to stitch to B. Now, at the tip, I like to take an extra stitch at the point of any design. So, oops, I took 2 stitches, that's okay. I also want to get my beginning threads out of the way. So, I might end up cutting these before we get finished. So, there we go. Lined up here on B. Oops, I totally went off the template there. So what I would do is I would come back here and then when I was done, even though that's double stitched, I would take out these little stitches right here. And that's how you can fix if you make a mistake. Okay. Make sure everything's smooth. And now we're over here. So this takes a little bit of time to stitch out, not that long. And now I think I am going to cut these threads off because they are going to get in the way. And remember, I double stitched them. I secured the stitches at the beginning, so I can cut them now and they're going to be fine. Oh, there we go. Always make sure that your B is lined up on your reference line. Now, you, of course, could start the very beginning on A and stitch to B and go around. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to show you when we're finished with the design why I started to do it this way. And I just started to do this since I got my box. Well, a little after I got my box. So this is just an alternative way by starting in the middle instead of out on the outside. And you just keep rotating and hopefully you don't come off the pin. It's hard for me to see the pin. There we go. And now, here I am, I'm here. So, oops, I moved my template a little bit. There we go. If you were doing this in a situation where you couldn't rotate, here I can see the B over here. I can see that, right? So I can stitch to B. And now when I rotate my template, I can see these lines here, right? Over here, these lines are also on my reference line. So if I wasn't able to rotate my fabric, I can still do this design. we don't have too much farther to go. Keep moving my template just before I get to the end. And I should not do that. Okay. And we just have a few more to go. This is such a pretty design when it's stitched out. I think this is our second to last one. Okay. This is our last petal, I guess you would call it. One of these things I'm calling a petal. Okay. This is the last one. So we're going to stitch out to here. And then go there. And now I'm going to stitch to the middle, and this is my middle. Okay. So I'm still going to line up my template, and in a perfect world, you're going to hit where those stitches started, which we did. And then I'm just going to back up and lock. Okay. The reason I do that is so that I don't have to bury my threads if I don't want to. Now, if you didn't meet this, right, you're off a little stitch there, what you would do is you would pull up your threads, and when you bury them, you would bury them where you started, and then that would close that up, just in case you miss. But I like to do that instead of missing out here. I think you run a lesser risk if you don't meet in the middle than you do out here. So that's why I started doing it this way. And now let's just go back here. Okay, because I want to show you something fun on this template. So I would pull my thread here, and that would be it. I would either bury it or I would pull them and trim them off. I can trim them because I locked my threads. This template here has a little curve on it, which makes it super fun. So what I want to do is I want to stitch out to one of these intersections here. Okay, so I have to put my template back on, and there we go. Okay, this intersection right here, I'm going to stitch out to there. Now you don't have to do that. You could do this any way you wanted, but I want to show you something fun. Hopefully we're going to be right on top. There we go. Okay, now I can use this side of the template as kind of a stem because it's not, we've put an indent in it a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit different of a look than if you just had like a curve. It kind of gives it a little bit of dimension, I guess. Okay, now we can take our template again, right? This part of the template, and we can come up here anywhere we want on the corner here and stitch out to there. Now turn our template, get out your spacing gauge, And you can come here and let's see, hopefully that's gonna, and make yourself a little leaf. You could make your stem farther if you wanted. And then make another leaf. So I'm kind of starting where this reference line is on the template. That's kind of where I'm starting. Come up there to A, come back here to B. And I'm going to lock it. And because I locked my threads, when I pull my bobbin thread, I can trim it. Now, if I didn't want to trim it and I wanted to bury, I would take my bobbin thread, I would pull it out a little bit more. And then here I have my threads for burying if I wanted to do that. Okay. So what I was saying here in the middle, if these stitches didn't meet right here, you could take your tail of your threads and bury it into the stitch where you started, and that would close that up and no one would ever know. And then I have, here, let's see where my boo-boo is. Here's my mistake, right here. And since I double stitched that, I don't really have to worry about it too much. The threads are not going to come out, but I can just come and take my seam ripper and pull these threads out. And now my boo-boo's gone. There we go. So that is how this spinning wheel number 27 works. This isn't going to be a really long demo, but there you have it. So I'm just checking for questions. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Okay. Just seeing where everybody's from. And all right. Now, let me show you if you wanted to do this as a border treatment. Now you're not going to do the entire design as a border treatment, right? Because it's big, it's 6 inches. But if you wanted to do a border treatment, you would mark your border, right? The center of your border. I always like mark the center of my border. And you would know if you had, let's say this is a 2-inch border and we mark the center. I think that's going to work. Or even a 2-inch sashing. So I'm going 1 inch on either side of my center line. Oops. This gives me center. I like to know where center is when I do these kinds of designs. And then this is the outside of my border, right? So I don't want to stitch past those lines, but I'm going to pull on my border. Or on my center of my border. Okay. And then I'm going to take this. Well, the first thing I'm going to do, well, I'm going to go just a little bit because let's say this is the corner. I don't want to be in the corner. We're going to stitch just a little bit and get out of the corner. Okay. Then I can do my leaf, right? And I know that I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch away. I always like to be like 1/8 of an inch, a 1/4 inch away from a seam. But I know that if I come up here, I'm going to be a 1/4 inch away. So that works perfectly. I'm going to stitch up and make my leaf. And then I'm going to come back down. And get out my spacing gauge. Now, I may not use my spacing gauge all the time. Probably will. Oops, I lost the ends. So that wasn't okay. I think this is a little too not perfect, but okay. Then if I wanted, I could do one in this direction by putting this line that's on the template right through this point, and then they kind of go at an angle at each other, which I think is kind of fun. There we go. And then come back. Somebody told me when I first started doing ruler work that eventually I'd be able to tell a 1/4 inch, and I just can't. It's not my strong point. So now I can travel along here. Stop, do the same thing, or I can have them both go up, right? So let's see, that's there, that goes that way. We're going to come back this way. And then we're going to go this way. This one is a little bit below center, so it's going to be a shorter of a petal. And then I would put this in here, and I would continue on. And so this is just kind of a fun thing you can do with borders. Let me just do one more. I really like them where they go opposite angles of each other. I think that's really fun. And if you don't care too much, if you don't hit this perfectly, you could just eyeball it. Or if you're really good at the 1/4 inch, you could just probably do it without any assistance from your spacing gauge. I like the comfort of my spacing gauge. Let's see what happens if we just guess. Ooh. Ta-da! You could also go the opposite directions and do 4 of them if you wanted. That would be kind of a fun small design. Let's try that. Kind of looks like a little mini spinifex in the middle, right? That's kind of fun. And so if you had a cornerstone, you could put this in a cornerstone if you wanted. And then come out. We'll go this way and see if that changes a little bit. There we go. Now we're going above the line. So that is some ways you can use this template for small borders. And this particular thread that I have in my bobbin is a water soluble thread. And I use water soluble when I'm practicing designs and things like that so that I don't, I can save my fabric. You have to be really careful and not make sure you change your bobbin before, before you do real work. But I only put my water soluble thread in the bobbin. I never put it in the top. I never do both. But I don't like to cut this water soluble thread with my thread cutter on my machine. So that's why I pull it up. Sometimes I forget. So, but that is spinning wheel number 27. And I want to show you, if you had a Spinifex. So in this particular box is a spinning pedal, which works like a Spinifex. And I'm going to go over some of the other features of that in a different Friday. But we're going to pull from the center here. And we're going to do four. We're going to do four of the larger one, which is 5 inches, and then this is 3 inches. Okay, so this has the same markings as a Spinifex. And we are going to go like this. And we're going to do just 4 of these of the 5 inch. And just I think I might have gotten off a little bit, but there we go. And this way. I'm stitching over my beginning threads. I forgot to get them out of the way. Okay, so there we go. That's what it looks like with 4 petals. Now we're going to put the little one, just so you can see the size of the little one, on the diagonal crosshairs. So this is only 8-point crosshairs. The other design we did was 16. So we're going to come up here. Just gives it a little bit of a different look when you can change sizes. I always like to buy templates on multiple sizes because I think you can mix them up like this and get really nice designs, but also you can use them in different parts of the same quilt with different sizes. So you can mix like Spinifexes with little tiny designs for cornerstones or borders and things like that, and use the same shape throughout your quilt. Okay, now we're going to come back in here. So that's the design that we have. But you could, at this point, right, you could stitch out again to this intersection here. We don't really want to start from the center. So We probably shouldn't have taken this out, but we're going to try and get to this intersection here. Hopefully things didn't move too much. There we go. And then you can take your spinning wheel 27 and make a stem off of a Spinifex design. We'll put a petal out here. Do we have enough room? Oh, just barely. Let's go a little bit farther. I forgot which way it was going. There we go. We didn't want to run into our petals on the, these are leaves. We didn't want to run into our petals in the flower. See, I wasn't perfect there. Shh, let's not tell anybody. And then we're going to go down a little bit. Go down this way a little bit. And then we'll do one over here. And then you can see what that looks like when you're if you had more room and you wanted to add some stems and leaves to your flowers. There's that. Cut those off. And there you can see, hopefully you can see that. So, and I know that it's like only been about 30 minutes, but there's really not much more I can show on this template. I mean, I guess you could do, well, let's try something just for fun. Let's go from this line and have it stop. I just came up with this idea and have it stop on that line. Let's try this. Oh, I should have started in the middle, huh? That would have been a smarter thing to do. Oh well. So I'm going to come up here. We're just going to see if this works. Stop there. We're going to come like this, and we're going to, hopefully this will take us back there. And then we're going to go back to, oh, we didn't go far enough. We're going to go back to the center, right? And then we're going to do it again. This might be fun. I just saw this in my eyes when I was like, what else can we do? Now I could come here and then come back this way. And the reason I did that is because when you have double stitching on your designs, or when you have designs that you can't continuously go without having double stitching, you want your double stitching to kind of change, right? You want it to be on the top, and then the next time you want it to be on the bottom. And that kind of tricks the eye. There we go. So this, the double stitching was up here, and then it moved and it went below first. it tricks the eye so that you don't see heavy stitching on one side of the line by moving it around. So the next time the double stitching needs to be on the top of the line. So we're going to go like this. We're going to do one more. This turned out to be pretty fun. I like this. And again, this is the one that we want to double stitch. So, and I'm going to measure these for you so you can know how thick they are and see what they'll fit in. I think this is going to fit in a really small sashing. I think that would be a fun sashing. Okay. This is 3/4 of an inch. The thickest part is 3/4 of an inch. So this would fit in a 1-inch sashing, which would be great. I mean, a 1-inch sashing is a pretty decent size of sashing. So I'm just gonna go like this. Oops. I just kind of want to see where it's, so you can see where it's bordered at. That didn't get done very nicely, but here we go. Right? So this would be your sashing and there would be your design right in the middle. And I think that would be really fun. So if you start your design on the line and then use this centerpiece to end it on the line, right? Then you're going to get this shape here. So, and then we know this is a 5-inch design. What was the other one that we did with the, and here is this, and this fits in a 2-inch sashing. We know that, or it doesn't even have to be sashing. It could be. And this is about 7/8 from here to here. But again, I would use my seam as the border for my design. So I'm just going to check and see if anybody has any questions, because that's really all I have to show you. So let's see what we got here. I have to look at a really tiny screen, so I apologize that it takes me so long to read these. Okay. Well, I'm glad you like the large and the small. So someone said, what are you making? I'm just making a couple of designs using the spinning wheel number 27, which was here just a minute ago, and now it's not. There it is. This particular template. So, which I talked about at the beginning of the video. So we have a couple of border or sashing options. We have a block design where you could put a stem in if you wanted to. This would be good on like a quilt that had a lot of background negative space in it. You could throw these around in there. And then this is the design that the spinning wheel number 27 makes. So that's all I have. I wish I had more for you, but that's what I have for now. And oh, good. I'm glad you like the sashing ideas. And that is all I have for today. I hope everybody has a lovely holiday weekend for those of you in the US. And those of you in Canada, I hope you're having an extra long celebration for Canada Day. And try and stay cool. I know it's really hot all over the United States this weekend, so try and stay cool. And I will see you next month on the first Friday. So thanks for being here. I truly appreciate it. My fabric block. I don't, if you're talking about what I'm working with, it's kind of a fat quarter size, maybe a little bit smaller. Take care, everybody. Bye.